I've been all in my phone, I got options.
There are people who are literally trying to misunderstand you and you're gonna let them win. Sometimes you need to say no to other people in order to say yes to yourself. Like, the only person who at the end of the day goes to bed with your thoughts is you. I think people who spend so much energy on other people and the decisions they're making are fucking losers. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Horchata Mamita back with another video. And today we're gonna do another chit chat. Get ready with me because it seems like you guys are enjoying it. And I'm having fun doing it. So that being said, let's get started. I'm not really using any inspo for this makeup look. I'm more so gonna go for like an evening smoky look. Actually, I have like a party that I'm going to tonight with my acting friends, so that's the vibe. I guess for context, not that you guys need it, but it's supposed to be like Shrek themed, but I'm not dressing up as a Shrek character, so it's giving I'm Donkey. I don't really like buying costumes because the way that I think about it, even with Halloween, I have a hard time buying costumes that I feel like can't be repurposed. Maybe I'm frugal, I don't know, but to me, I can't justify that. As much of a shopper as I am, I just think that doesn't make sense. So anyways, I'm wearing this fur halter top and calling it a day. Again, let's just say we're Donkey. But today's chit chat is going to be about the things that I'm unlearning in my 20s. And I really have to sit here and reflect because there have been a lot of things that I've learned and unlearned in my 20s. As you guys may know, like, I'm not going to lean into the pessimism of everything. I'm also trying not to ruin my edges. Let's just say I've learned a lot. But I just wrote a list of things that I want to share with you guys that I've learned in my 20s. I don't know if you guys know. I'm sure you guys remember. I am a Taurus. It's Aries season right now, I think. But Taurus season is approaching very quickly. And so in honor of that, I was like, your birthday is usually a good time, at least for me, to reflect on, okay, how is this year gone? How do I feel? Like, temperature check. Just thinking about the year in the grand scheme of things and, you know, key lessons and all that jazz. So since my birthday is coming up, I might as well just reflect on 27 things because I'm about to turn 28, which is fucking crazy. I don't even believe that myself. We're gonna ignore it. We're gonna pretend like it's not a thing. But yeah, because I'm turning 28, I was like, let me just think of 27 things that I've learned, or the 27 things that I've had to unlearn in my 27 years of living. So I'm gonna share that with you guys. Let's just get started. I feel like I gave you guys a lot of context. We're in flow state of yapping right now, so let's gonna move on. Okay, so the first thing that I've learned or unlearned is that I should be at a certain place in my life, or in other words, my life should look like a certain way right now. And this just gets at this whole idea of like comparison is the thief of joy. Like, bro, especially in your 20s, like, you're always looking at your peers. I mean, in life in general, but like in your 20s, I feel like there's the most fundamental years. Like, you're really building your life for yourself. You're thinking about, especially as you're approaching your 30s, like establishing yourself. You're thinking about buying a home, getting assets. Like, these are the years that you're really asking yourself the hard question, you know? You're really checking in with yourself because I just feel like life just feels really serious. Like, you're not a kid anymore. It really hits you. You've been adulting for some years now. You're kind of settling into your life. So at least for me, it's like I'm asking like these deeper level questions and really trying to assess like, okay, where am I at in terms of my life goals? Like, and again, establishing myself, like getting a bit more stability, because I feel like the early 20s is like, okay, your introduction to adulthood. Mid 20s, you're settling in a little bit. Late 20s, it's like things really like hit for you. Like, things start clicking. You start really having a greater understanding of who you are, what you want in life, like what matters to you. And so, long story short, everyone's life looks different, and that's really what makes your life. And like comparing your life to someone else's is just unhelpful. It is, because like we're two different people, have two different lives, have two different sets of goals, like two different journeys. And so it's just not gonna help. It's not helping anyone at all. At the end of the day, it's not going to change the circumstances regardless. So it's like, why spend that energy focusing on everyone else around you rather than like yourself and locking in on things that you want for yourself, you know? Like, I think that's more important. I would always say, like, comparing me to me, like comparing me now to the best version of myself or the version that I want to be, I think is more helpful than comparing me to Patrick or, you know, Rebecca. Yeah, I think that's one major thing. I think another thing is unlearning this idea that like you need to compromise your dreams and your desires for what you feel like is more practical. And I say this because, especially as you're getting older, like you're thinking about what your parents wanted you to be, like who society has always told you to be. And I feel like really unlearning that and being like, okay, what do you want for yourself? Like what do you truly want for yourself? And I've mentioned this in my other videos, but like when you're thinking about like your inner child, like before the world told you who you can be or who you should be, what was she telling you? Like what direction was she pulling you in? Because at the end of the day, like this is your life, you know, like, and you only have one life to live. So literally I'm a big advocate of like, make your life everything that you want it to be. Like, don't hold yourself back, because as I mentioned in my last video, if you haven't seen it, check it out. But the sky is the limit. The person who limits you from doing anything that you want to do is yourself more than anyone. So like, girl, dream big, keep dreaming big. I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm sorry if I get annoying, but like, that's how I feel. And next thing is this idea that you can change people and you can change things. That's wrong. Why? For multiple reasons. One, you can't change some people and you can't change some things. Why? Why can't you change people? Because people are people. Like, as you get older, you really learn that. Especially if you care a lot, like you're an empath and like you're just very invested in like everything around you. You're probably thinking in your head like, oh my gosh, like how can I make this thing better? Sometimes you want things and people to be things that they're not, or people that they're not. And it's like, why are you caring more than those things or those people? It's like bigger than you, you know? And so like having a sense of detachment and understanding that like there's only some things within your control and there are things that are not within your control, and you need to focus on the things that are within your control because you're literally going to be wasting your energy. That is a huge life lesson, I feel like. And it's hard, especially for like, again, people like me who are like empaths and like you give your all to like the things that you care about. It can be tough to drill it in your head that like, hey, this is actually not on me. This is not my responsibility. And this is not something I should carry with me in my, you know, invisible backpack, essentially. Because I have my own shit to worry about. Like, I need to worry about, again, the things that I can control that are outside of me. But also, I need to focus on me. Because, like, I have my own shit. I'm going to be preaching today. I'm tell you that. Something else that I am realizing is that just because you don't get something at a certain point in your life doesn't mean that it's not meant for you or it never will be. And let me explain why. I understand the whole like what's meant to be will be. I'm a huge follower of that. I'm a huge believer of that. Again, it's this idea of detachment and like, again, from a religious perspective, like trusting God and, you know, his plan for you and his timing for you, regardless of what's going on, you know, in your day-to-day reality. But I think there's a point where it's like, you might think, okay, well, this isn't happening now. That means like it was never in the cards for me. And while I wouldn't say, you know, spend a lot of time thinking about this, right? Because like, again, there has to be that level of detachment of like, what's going to happen is going to happen regardless. I will say that you have to understand that like, just because it hasn't happened for you yet does not mean that it wasn't meant for you, or that it's not meant for you, or it never will be meant for you. Sometimes it's literally about timing. And like I said, God's timing is immaculate. Like, his timing is what matters, not our own timing. You know, I could say that I want to be a millionaire by 32, but God might say, okay, you might not be a millionaire at 32, but you're going to be a millionaire when you're 45. I have no control over that. Like, I literally have zero control over that. And it's not helpful to just sit here and be like, oh, you know, this just wasn't meant for me because I'm not worthy of this thing, or whatever. It hasn't happened because it's not meant for me. No, sometimes you just have to be patient. Like, that's a huge huge lesson in life, bro. Like, I do genuinely feel like good things take time. And so if you want something good to happen, put in the work, you know, work on manifesting it, keep moving in that direction. And there's a level of having faith that, like, in time, and the time, again, divine timing, it will happen when it's meant to happen, not the time that you necessarily want it to. I know y'all don't want to hear that, but that's a huge lesson for me. Another lesson is that you need to change who you are in order to get the things that you want. And I'm saying that because if something's truly meant for you, I do believe... Ooh. No, I didn't blend this. Anyways, I am a firm believer of you can get whatever you want in this life. Maybe I'm like delusional. Maybe I'm extremely optimistic. Probably both, to be honest. But I do think that you can work hard for the things that you want, because every day is really an opportunity to get better and to grow in all the things that, you know, you care about and you value. But at the end of the day, I do think that, like, if something is truly meant for you, you're not gonna have to fight for it. Like, you're not gonna have to change who you are as a person. Yeah, you can improve, and like, you do have to be real with yourself in terms of, like, sometimes there are major shifts that need to happen in your life in order for you to attract the things that you want. Like, and I know I'm sounding counterintuitive, but for example, I think that when you take shortcuts in life, sometimes you get things that you want faster. That doesn't mean that you're going about things the right way, because I feel like you end up doing more work when you end up taking shortcuts, honestly. Like, or it ends up, whatever that ends up being, like, you're gonna have to step on somebody's toes, or it's just not, I don't think it's like super ethical at a certain point, you know, when you're trying to rush the process. So like, if it's a case like that, it's like you do have to ask yourself, okay, is the way that I'm moving going to get me the things that I want, like, in a sustainable way? And in that sense, yeah, you would have to undergo a large transformation in life in order to attract the life that you want. But at the end of the day, like, when it comes to, for example, you want a certain job opportunity, or you want a certain man, and you want to attract him, or you want to attract that opportunity, it's not going to ask for you to be somebody that you're not. I think there's a fine line between, like, being a better version of yourself versus, like, you're completely changing who you are at your core in a way where it's not genuine to you. Like, again, I don't want to say that we're in boxes, because I 100% don't believe that. I think humans are complex, and, like, we're always evolving and things like that. But, like, at the end of the day, you know what's true to you and what's not. And if anything or anyone requires you to be far from that in order to fit their world, that sounds like I'm more so talking about a person, but, like, or to fit in that box of that opportunity, that it wasn't meant for you. It's not worth it, like, losing yourself for the sake of gaining something else. Like, losing yourself to anything is never really worth it. And so that's a long-winded way of saying, only care about attracting the things that don't make you change who you are at your core, because those are the only things that should matter. Next thing is, you can't go against what you said or how you defined yourself in the past. And this gets back to that same idea of, like, as humans, we're always evolving. And so what does that mean? Like, we're supposed to grow. We're supposed to change our mind. We're supposed to change, and we're supposed to change our mind. Like, if you still thought the same way now, you know, say you're, like, being in your late 20s. If you still thought the same way now as you did when you were 15, that's a problem. That's a problem. You're not growing. You should not think exactly the same way that you thought when you were 15. Like, honestly, that's unheard of, but, like, I'm just saying, you know, if that is the case, like, that's kind of crazy. Again, we have to ask some reflective questions here, because why aren't you expanding your mind, you know, past that mindset? I think naturally you grow through experiences, you mature through experiences, but, like, there has to be a level of also intentionality of, like, you want to grow through these things. Like, that's always a choice, because I can passively live through life, or I can, you know, use this opportunity as a learning opportunity, always, whether it be about myself, about the world, whatever. And so it's not wrong to decide to think differently about things. to evolve and like build on your points of views and your beliefs. Basically restricting yourself to the way that you used to be or the way you used to think, it's not fair to you, essentially. Something else that I'm learning is that you need to stick to what you know and what you're good at. A lot of these things tie into each other in terms of like having a growth mindset, but again, you should not limit yourself, period. You know, like you can hone in on the things that you know and the things that you're good at, but you can also expand on them. You can also explore and discover that there are other things that you are also good at. Like, again, we as humans should not be put in boxes. It just feels restrictive, like so constraining. It's like, I don't know, that's just such a boring life to live. Maybe one day you wake up and you're like, oh, I want to try tennis. Girl, try tennis. Like, what? Who's stopping you? Like, just because you've never done it means that you shouldn't ever do it. Again, we have one life to live, sister. I need y'all to really grasp that. Like, I think about that all the time, bro. It's like, tomorrow's never promised. And like, you can't do this again. Okay, reincarnation, that's a whole nother story. But like, this life is limited. So like, what are you gonna do with it? If you have a burning desire to try something, try it. And let's say you do try it and you suck, which half of the time that's gonna be the case because it's literally your first time trying it. Everyone's bad at first, at whatever. You don't think there's professionals who do something for a living and didn't suck the first time they did it? So if they can get better, why can't you? You know, like, I do think that talent is important, but I do think sometimes hard work does beat talent. Like, if you're dedicated, you got your mindset on getting better at whatever it is, you're very much capable of getting better. So try that sport, try that hobby, stop holding yourself back, and be okay with being bad at it. Like 1% better. That's literally what's the most important thing. Like, if you're committed, you're getting your reps in time, you're going to see progress. And that's more important, in my opinion, than being perfect. Another thing that I feel like is really important is, again, very much in alignment with things that I've already said. It's this idea that you need to have it all figured out. Why do you need to have it all figured out? Who has it all figured out? If you can name one person that has it all figured out, I'll give you $1,000. Not me lying, I'm provoked. I'm not gonna give you $1,000. But like, seriously, you probably can't think of them because they don't exist. Because we don't drive the boats. We don't. Again, from a religious perspective, whoever you worship, whoever's the greater power in this world, if you have, again, some belief of a creation story, you know that we are not in control. So why are we putting the burden on ourselves to have it all figured out, to know all of the answers? Literally, a big part of life is evolving again and is learning. Like, experiences are what breed wisdom. They're what shape perspective. So trust that, again, if you're being intentional, if you're actively going through things in life, you're going to take what you need in order to handle whatever comes your way. Again, there has to be a level of, I guess, let's put a disclaimer there. Like, this means there has to be a greater belief. It has to be bigger than, it's always bigger than you, babes. Like, this is another theme here. There has to be a deep sense of belief in yourself and a deep sense of belief in purpose. And again, that it's greater than you. Even though things feel slow, it's getting figured out. And all you have to do is approach every day with a growth mindset and trying to get better, and you'll be wherever you need to be. And that's tea. I think there's a point too there of like, you need to stay humble. Cause like, I feel like sometimes we think like, oh, you know, we have a nice car, or whether it be materialistic or not, like, it's easy to think like you're hot shit because of whatever, bro. Like, there has to be a level of humility. Again, you don't have all the cards. More than anything, be graceful with yourself. Like, just be graceful with yourself. It's okay to not know. Like, it's fine. Again, we're gonna figure it out. Something else that I'm learning in my adult life, I'm trying to figure out what makeup look I want to do today. Y'all, it's hard because I feel like I really like doing the same look right now. But, as I literally have the memory of a squirrel. The next thing that I've been unlearning is this idea that the more friends that you have, the better. And I say this not from a perspective of like, fuck having friends. Like, I'm definitely someone that values community. My village is so important to me. I really value them so much. Like, I would not be where I am today without them. Like, you know, if you know, you know. But also, I feel like there's been this lesson since, like, honestly, since college, because I feel like my social life has really just taken so many turns. I feel like at my core, I used to be very shy. I used to be very, like, to myself. In high school, I was, like, very family oriented, and, like, I always loved my friends, but I feel like I had very few friends in high school, like in school before college. Went to college, I feel like I made so many friends. Like, I'm sure you guys will learn in my content that, like, I feel like college was such a, like, just life-changing experience. Like, I just feel like it was such an identity forming chapter for me where I really grew into myself and, like, found my voice. And I can always go on and on about it, but that's to say that I made so many friends in college, bro. When I say I made so many friends, like, I'm not even being dramatic. I'm sure you guys know, like, that's half of what college is for. Like, being social, and again, finding community. And it's so easy to. It's like your friends live so close to you, which is why it's such a unique experience. Like, you make friends with people who are in your building, who are right next door, like, who are probably no further than 10-15 minutes away from you, depending on what school you go to. But, like, at Georgetown, oh no. At Georgetown, that was the case. Like, it's like a mid-size campus, I believe, but generally pretty small compared to other schools. Like, it was a little college town. People were never too far, I'll tell you that much. And so I made so many friends, and I feel like I got used to, like, having such big community. I think life after college, after graduating, really taught me how, like, what's more important than having a lot of friends is having a core group of friends. And I've always kind of been true to that idea, because, like, I can be friendly, but, like, I've always had a certain level of discernment of, like, just because you're cool, just because you're funny, just because you know, can dress really well, whatever it may be, does not mean that you're somebody that I'm gonna keep in my close circle, because I don't take that shit lightly. Bro, like I said, I'm very big on my village. I love hard. Like, I go all in. And so if somebody's in my circle, like, I got you for life, bro. And I mean that shit. Like, I really mean it. It has to be something crazy, like, really crazy. Like, I feel like there has to be a level of respect that's violated in order for me to feel like, all right, I'm good off this person, you know? And so even though I've generally been true to this idea of, like, I don't need that many friends in life. Like, I'd rather have a few friends that are very reliable and that are my ride or dies than, like, you know a bunch of people. I feel like as I've gotten older, my life experiences have emphasized that. Because, like, as you get older, your circle gets smaller and smaller. I'm gonna tell you that now. And I'm sure y'all heard this before, but, like, and it's fine. You, like, grow apart, whatever it may be. But, like, at the end of the day, finding people who will ride for you, like, whenever. Like, you can call them about whatever it is that's happening in your life, and you know that they're there. Like, damn near family. Like, that's hard to come by. And so being intentional about who you're keeping within your circle, who you're giving your energy to, I feel like is so important in protecting your peace and honestly your heart, because you never know people's intentions. Like, you really don't. And so having that level of a discernment when you're building community, I think is really important. I think something else that I'm learning is this idea that what you know determines your opportunities and your future. I do think what you know is important. Like, knowledge is, you know, pivotal, I think. Education and information, like, that's all very important in life, because I do think it could get you ahead. But also, I think there's this sense of, like, who you know and how you think about things is also equally important. Like, your mindset and the people that you connect with, I guess, speaking of socializing and community. Bro, I literally remember being told that in high school, and I was like, yeah, whatever. Bro, it's so true. And that's literally reminding me now, like, I need to get back on my networking shit. But literally, you never know who you're gonna come across and what opportunities they can offer you. And that's not to say, like, be an opportunist in, like, the negative context of, like, always see what people can do for you. Because no, I don't believe in using people. I think you should have pure intentions, and if someone can do something for you out of the goodness of their heart, then don't, deprive yourself of that opportunity. But I don't think you should go in with that intention. I do just think that the more people that you know, again, strategically, that doesn't mean go to every networking event, right? Or like go to every social event. Again, let's use our discernment. I think that's key here. But really put yourself out there and try to put yourself in rooms that would, again, expand your mindsets and also your network, because that really makes a difference. And even aside from like physically putting yourself in these spaces, like think about the way that you think about your mindset, and like if that's really opening yourself up to opportunities or if it's closing you off to that. And that goes back to belief systems, right? Like, do you have limiting beliefs, or do you have beliefs that are really allowing you to grow and expand past what you think your limits are? And I feel like that really will give you a sense of like, am I setting myself up for success, or am I just holding myself back? Another belief system that I think is really important, I think especially when you come from like, first generation, or like maybe a less privileged background where you didn't have things handed to you, like things weren't given to you on a silver spoon or silver platter, is this idea that like where you come from determines your future. And like unlearning that, because it's like, no, you're very much always capable of changing what your tomorrow looks like what your path looks like, as long as, again, you have this growth mindset, you're determined, you have this discipline, you build good habits. Like, you always have power in determining what your future looks like. So don't hold yourself back to who you were, what your past circumstances were. Yeah, your path might have been, again, going back to comparison, your path might have looked different. Your path might have looked different than it's looked for other people. But like, recognize the power in your ability to face adversity and overcome it. As long as you remember that, I feel like your motivation will stay up, because it's like, I accomplished all of this with everything that I, went through. What else is possible? Like, the opportunities are endless. A lot of times we can spiral in a negative way, and it's like, why don't we not spiral, but like, why don't we get lost in all of the positive opportunities and all of the positive possibilities? We're using all that energy for what? To keep us in the same place or to keep us behind? Why? When we can use that same energy and channel it in a way that will help us move forward. Something else, and I'm gonna really highlight this one because I really struggle with this one. I'm not gonna say struggle. I don't like saying struggle. Something that I'm working on. Unlearning actively that what people say about me, how people define me, reflects who I truly am at my core. And I know it's gonna resonate with a lot of you guys, because we all do it, right? Like, it's normal to think about how other people perceive us. Again, we're built for human connection. We're built for community, and people are gonna talk. People are always gonna have something to say. People are always gonna have their way of thinking, but why are you giving them the power to define who you are? Like, they can think what they're thinking. Nobody told them to act on it. Nobody told them to say what they're saying. Like, but people will feel entitled to that, even though like they have no right to. They have no room to be talking about what you should be doing with your life. Even the way that I think, I'm sorry, this might be very blunt, but like, I think people who spend so much energy on other people and the decisions they're making are fucking losers. I will say, we all, all have a habit of gossiping, or like, again, forming an opinion on something that has nothing to do with us. We do. again, it's human nature. These things are all natural. But it's like, as someone who's on the receiving end, if someone is doing that, that doesn't mean that you need to claim what they've said as truth or what they've thought as truth. Because at the end of the day, they're not in your shoes. They don't live your life. They've not experienced the things that you've experienced. So why are you letting them define who you are? Like, the only person who at the end of the day goes to bed with your thoughts is you. The only person who lives with the consequences of their decisions, good or bad, is you. So why does it matter what Sally has to say? Respectfully, tell Sally off. Cause like, what are we talking about here? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm very passionate about this. Cause like, let's focus on ourselves. I think we would all get ahead in society if we did that a little bit more. People project all the time. Like, what somebody has to say about you, a lot of times has more to do with them than about you. They don't know you. Like, I don't know how else to say that without being blunt. Like, that's what it comes down to. So why does it matter what you're wearing, what car you drive, what you're doing with your career? Girl, if you're happy, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what your life looks like or how it could appear or how it could be understood by someone else. People are always gonna misunderstand you. There are people who are literally trying to misunderstand you, and you're gonna let them win. Regardless of your actions and your intentions, people are going to think what they think, and people are going to keep projecting. So literally just focus on what you got going on. Focus on being content with your life, and it doesn't matter what anybody else has to say about that, period. I'm going to combine the next two, but it's just this idea, one, that putting yourself first means having to put other people last. I think a big part of life and living community is compromise, right? You can put yourself first and also, on the same note, uplift and value and uphold the things that other people might want, right? And then they can come in big or small ways. Sometimes it's not possible, but there are ways of also just meeting somebody closer to the middle, even though you can't necessarily do exactly what they need you to do or what they want you to do. So it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. Like, I don't think you're either like super selfish or super selfless. Like, I think you can be someone who values your own interests and someone else's too. And the reason why I led with like prioritizing your needs and then finding a way to meet somebody else's is because you literally need to show up for yourself. You need to make sure you have a full cup before you have the capacity to even give to others, you know? Like, if you have nothing in your cup, how are you going to give anybody else water? You can't. So prioritize yourself, but also see if there's a way that you can, again, move closer to the thing that maybe somebody else might need or want from you. Because again, community is very important. And I don't think that you should only worry about your own interests in life. Like, you're gonna end up very lonely like that. If everyone were to move like that, just selfish and only think about their own interests, what would this world really come to? Like, it would be miserable and things would not get done. So, and I think in the same realm, I've been unlearning this idea that it's selfish to say no to people that you know and that you love. And I say this again very similarly because sometimes you need to say no to other people in order to say yes to yourself. And again, you can't show up for people if you aren't whole, if you're not feeling like, you know, fulfilled. Say no if you feel like you can't show up for somebody or you can't do something, as hard as it may be. That's not saying be an asshole, right? Like, you can acknowledge that maybe this might affect someone negatively or might not affect them positively, but rejection's a part of life. You have to say no to other people and other things in order to say yes to things that you value and that fulfill you. Vale la pena, you know, like, it's worth it. So you guys notice I wore a jacket and I also had to clear up some space on my phone. So sorry for the interruption, but I'm gonna literally zoom through the next few. But the next thing that I'm learning is this idea that failing is a reflection of your worth. I think failing is actually one of the best things that can happen for you, whether it means like you're pivoting and deciding, okay, I'm not going to pursue this thing anymore. Maybe I'm not pursuing it in the right way and I'm gonna change my strategy. Maybe this is not the right timing and I need to put this on hold for right now and pursue it later on at some point. But I feel like failing really teaches you a lot that succeeding doesn't necessarily teach you. And it's really only a reflection of this idea that you don't know it all, and that's okay. Again, there's more for you to learn, there's more for you to experience at this point, And that's fine. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to know it all, and you're not supposed to get it right the first time. Giving yourself the grace to learn and grow through that is really valuable. Another thing that I'm unlearning is this idea that you need to tell everyone everything. Just like you're protecting your peace when it comes to choosing your community, I think it's important to protect your privacy, protect your business when it comes to, you know, what's going on in your life. Not everyone deserves to know what moves you're making and the things that you hold closest to you. So being, in a sense, private and not necessarily not saying anything to anybody, but again, being very selective about who you share what with. And if you do share something, I think it's very important, because not everyone deserves that access to you and your life. On the flip side, I think it's also important to share good news. And I'm unlearning that you sharing good news always means that you're bragging or you're just full of yourself. Like, I think we should normalize being able to talk about things that, you know, we're proud of, things that, you know, we feel like accomplished in, without feeling like bad about it, you know, without feeling like that makes us like self-absorbed. Obviously you want to do it with good taste, but at the end of the day, like, I think it's, especially when it comes to social media, like, it's more praised when you share bad things about you and things that you're struggling with and times of distress, rather than things, you know, that you would consider wins. And that's messed up. Like, why can't we speak to both if they're true to our experience, you know? Something else that I'm unlearning is this idea that as long as you have good intentions, that's all that matters in life. Yeah, I do think it's very important to understand that all you can control is really your intentions for the most part. But I think there is the sense of like accountability that is really important, and realizing that like there's a difference between intent versus impact. Like, you can have the best intentions and still hurt someone, and you can still, I think something that I'm really learning is like, you can really be the villain of someone else's story. And like, as long as you're at peace with what happened and what you did, that's all that matters, you know? But again, there's a sense of like accountability, I think, that this kind of reinforces, where like you could have tried your best and you could still have made a mistake. You could still have hurt someone that you value, you know? You still could have moved in a way that wasn't operating from the best version of yourself. And so remedying, again, your intention versus like the way that you've impacted someone or something, I think is really mature. And I think it's important to do as you're growing into your adult self. Another thing that's very pivotal for me is unlearning this idea that being emotional and being vulnerable makes you weak. I think a lot of people have a hard time doing that. And so if anything, it shows strength to do that, you know? Like, not everyone can strip all their layers and be able to show someone who they are just raw, again, just vulnerable. I mean, people can't really sit with themselves, period. But like, being able to display that to the world is not necessarily something everyone can do easily. So being someone who feels hard, who expresses themselves a lot and feels things deeply, like all these things, if anything, they show your strength. They don't indicate weakness. Something else that I'm unlearning is this idea that you need to sacrifice all the fun now in order to enjoy your life later. Like I said before, life is short. You don't know what tomorrow is gonna bring or if tomorrow is gonna come. Making the best of every day, and that doesn't mean necessarily booking every vacation that you want to, right? I think there has to be a level of discipline and being able to say no to yourself and pacing yourself, not being greedy and wanting everything as soon as, you know, you have the impulse and the desire for it. But I think sometimes it's okay to treat yourself to that coffee. It's okay to treat yourself to the experiences that you want now, because again, you don't know what's gonna happen. Nothing is promised in life. And so making sure that you're regularly doing things that bring you joy and that fill your cup, I think is really important. Especially again, when life has its challenges, like live it, like live your life. There's a difference between being alive and living. Which one are you gonna do? I think a lot of these points also speak to this idea of like, it doesn't have to be black or white thinking. Like, you can work towards the goals and the things that you want in time, and also do the things that you value and the things that make you happy now, you know, along the journey, because the journey is really what matters. I'm also learning that communication is everything. It's not what it sounds like. Communication is very important in life. I think a lot of things can be lost in translation when you don't communicate well, but I think communicating and comprehending are equally important. If someone's not going to understand what you're getting at, there's no point in communicating for real. Also, I'm unlearning this idea that hard work is everything. Hard work means a lot. It's very important. Again, I think hard work beats talent, for example. Acquire things in life by being dedicated and committed to whatever end goal, whatever thing it is that you want. But sometimes working smarter is just as important, if not more important, than working hard. Another big one is this idea that you should only do things when you're ready. When you do things, you become ready. No one's ever ready to be a parent. You just become ready once you're going through the process, you're learning. Nothing prepares you like the situation itself. And so stop overthinking the timing. Stop doubting that you're ready for whatever it is that's coming your way. It's coming your way for a reason, or it's something that you're thinking about for a reason. So just go for it. Something else that I've been unlearning is the idea that you should always follow your heart. Again, this sounds kind of crazy, but this doesn't mean don't follow your heart at all. I just think it's important to follow your gut more than anything sometimes, even if it goes against what maybe your heart desires and what you feel like doing. Because your gut, one thing about it is it's never gonna lie, especially as a woman. Like, a woman's intuition, girl, we all have our stories, but follow that gut, not always your heart and your feelings. Another thing that I've been learning is this idea: if you let people and things go, that means you're giving up. Sometimes things don't serve you, and in order to make space for new opportunities, new identity, you need to release and remove some things in your life and some people. So that's okay. There might be grief, it might be hard, it might be confusing, but sometimes you just need to let it be. The last thing that I've been unlearning is this idea that good things are hard to come by. And I know that sounds pessimistic to say, but especially when there's mental, health involved and things like that. Like, depending on what you've experienced, it's easy to believe that you're not destined for good things. You're not destined for, the best news or the best opportunities. But we need to reframe that way of thinking, because if we really don't believe that good things are easy to come by, we're literally going to manifest that for ourselves. Like, again, use that same energy to manifest the positive things and think about all the opportunities and, say that you are deserving of these good things. Say, why wouldn't they happen to me? And I feel like when we shift that mentality and that mindset, more positive things will come for us, Again, it goes back to what I've said in my previous video, but if you can think in any way, think positively. Like, why waste that mental energy on something that's not gonna, again, push you towards your dream life and your dream person? Oh, I know that was a mouthful, but thank you guys for bearing with me. I hope this was really insightful for you guys. I hope something resonated with you, or a few things. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys stay tuned for the next one. Bye, I love you, and stay safe.
Something that makes me look at you too often. Baby, you can give it something.